Hello then folks, welcome back to another video on the channel. My name is Ben. Look, you enjoyed Haaland at Bath? Let's do another experiment. So as the title suggests, we are taking Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard and Paul Scholes, three elite English midfielders of a generation that all performed very well at club level, maybe not so much at international level, and never really figured out a way to play together. We're taking them back to their early years as they were, using previous editions of Football Manager to get the correct data for them, and we're going to see what they would do in their current sides. Of course, Manchester United, Liverpool and Chelsea, and we'll talk about Frank Lampard in a minute. Of course, West Ham fans going, what? I'm aware that he didn't start there, but of course I think we can all agree that his twilight years were at Chelsea, so I'd like to see him at Chelsea rather than having started at West Ham and then move him to Chelsea. I figured this would be the best way of doing it, just have him start at Chelsea from a young age. So let's move me down to the side a little bit and run you through then each player and how they're starting and how hopefully we'll see how they finish in 15 years and how long will their careers last. I guess we're going to find out together. So of course this is part one, so make sure you subscribe for the future parts that come out on this, very much like the Haaland video, and we'll simulate as we go so we can cover as much detail as possible over the course of a few bite-sized episodes. So there's constant debate over these players, who was the best of the generation. I think that conversation is a tad unfair. I think there are three very different players. I think Paul Scholes was a bit of a maestro with the ball at his feet. Lampard was more of a goal scorer, I would say. And Gerrard could kind of do a little bit of everything while being in a considerably worse side. Of course, you'll have your own opinions on who your favourite is. I'm a Liverpool fan, so I'll let you work it out. That's right. Xabi Alonso. Bang on. So here's Gerrard then, 19 years of age. Of course, the real Steven Gerrard is currently manager at Rangers. It'll be interesting to see if this Steven Gerrard, or the 19-year-old Steven, baby Gerrard, we'll call him, will be managed by Daddy Gerrard. I don't know if I'm going to call him Daddy Gerrard. So you can see him there. Again, you may disagree with some of these attributes. I'm sure you will at some stage, but just remember they are, again, based upon what Football Manager had in those previous years. Shout out to Reese for helping put this database together. So there's Gerrard then, looking decent, 19 years of age, starting his career at Liverpool in the first team, maybe? No, not quite. It begins life in the under 23, so we'll see if that's the same for both Lampard and Scholes. Frank Lampard, of course, is being managed by Frank Lampard to begin this experiment, so it'll be quite interesting to see how the two of them get on. 19-year-old Frank, you can see physically still got a little bit of room to develop, as they all have. I think you'll see that throughout the progressions, they will all develop quite a lot. I think the way to do this then is to go by year on year and see how each of them are progressing. We'll do this sort of Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes order. Speaking of which, there he is, the metronome of the Manchester United midfield. Again, 18 years of age. If you got this player through as a regen, you'd be very excited. Again, expect him to improve dramatically. He's currently wanted on loan by a whole host of sides, some of which are in the Premier League actually. So again, we'll see how they develop. Let's then see how they all do in their first season as players. And yeah, bring that to you now. Get the sentence out. Alright then, of course, Gerrard famously never won a Premier League title. The first thing that strikes me is the amount this man has developed. All those 10s have turned to 11s and suddenly looks incredibly well-rounded. Not very good at long throws, but I can't remember him ever taking one. Worth 10 million now, got a slight increase in wage as well. Let's see how he's performed for Liverpool in this first season then. 16 appearances, 11 starts actually, which is not too bad at all. 3 goals, 2 assists. How is he fitting in to this Liverpool midfield? He's playing in behind Origi in this current setup, but again, I suspect there are players that are now on holiday, maybe have gone off to international duty. You can see there the regular side. He's played a little bit part player. I think the player to compare him to in this side, there's players in all the teams that you could compare these players to. Would probably be the likes of Curtis Jones, who's coming through at a very similar rate. If we were to compare the two of them, we can only do, hang on, we can do that if we come off holiday. If you compare the two, you can see they're not too dissimilar actually. There's a lot of hype around Curtis Jones. You can see this is how he compares to a Steven Gerrard of a very similar age. 4 or 5 months between the two of them. So we'll sort of keep a little track of this as well, see who plays more. Of course, Gerrard went on to be one of Liverpool's best ever players, so Curtis Jones has got quite the expectations to live up to there. Just to check as well, of course, we'll find out what Chelsea and Manchester United did in this opening season as well. If you just go back to here, Gerrard still doesn't want a league title. 89 points for Liverpool. Chelsea in 5th, Manchester United in 3rd. We'll go to Chelsea next though. We'll go and find Frank. He should be here somewhere. Is he still manager of them? Bad news. Daddy Frank has gone. Allegri's been brought in. He might be worth an awful lot. Is Lampard? Where is he? Frank Lampard. There he is. There's Frank. Let's see what he's done in his first season then. Similar to Gerrard really. 15 appearances. Only 2 starts though. So not featuring as much. Of course, the player we could compare a young Frank Lampard to, I would say would be the likes of Mason Mount. So if we take a look at Mount, again, like we did with Jones, and compare him to Frank Lampard, you can see they're not too different. If you look at the overview, graphs very, very similar. Of course, much like Gerrard and Jones, I expect Lampard to rise above Mason Mount. Mason Mount is a couple of years older as well. By the time that Lampard's his age, I expect we're going to see something pretty special. But so far, looking at Lampard, he's done okay without doing anything spectacular. A couple of caps for England, I noticed. We'll just quickly check. I didn't note that with Gerrard. How many caps as a young Steven Gerrard got? So far, uncapped. Let's go to Scholes then for this first season and see how he's getting on. Still another player uncapped, but again, slowly starting to develop. By the time that Scholes is sort of 22, 23, 24, he's going to be brilliant. And again, Scholes' career, he could do the same thing very well for a very long period of time. So it'll be interesting to see at what point this Paul Scholes depends or decides to retire. You can see there, Wonder Kid tries killer balls often. It's very much a Paul Scholes player. 6 and 6, so 12 appearances, bit part. There's not really an obvious player. Of course, when Paul Scholes was retiring, Paul Pogba was coming through. We now have the reverse situation of a 28-year-old Paul Pogba and a very young Paul Scholes. And whether those two players blend and play together at some stage, they may well do. Van der Beek's, of course, been brought in recently. Van der Beek, you might say, has been brought in recently. Of course, that's the sort of player Scholes will be looking to oust. But so far, no Premier League titles. And as expected, first season, pretty... They're just getting their feet under the table at their club. Okay, in season 2, let's go back over to Steven Gerrard, who is really at 21 now, is really kicking on. Still only 2 caps for England, though, not featuring as much. 10 21 appearances. So he's not doing too badly there. Wow, became a pivotal part of the side. Yeah, 31 starts this year, 7.22. Upping his rating from the previous year. Again, we're going to have to reveal this. How did Liverpool get on last season? Oh no, not again. They've missed out to City again. This time Chelsea go slightly higher. United again. We'll come to those two teams in a minute. Still, none of our boys have won a Premier League title. Of course, Lampard and Scholes won plenty of them in their time as players. City then, 92 points. We'll just check. It's City and City. So all those boys still lacking a little bit. Will we see the side a little bit? Gerrard now featuring Bentancur has been brought in as well. Another midfielder, Felix up there instead of Firmino. So things are changing. Whether Gerrard can nail down this spot now for a long period of time, I'd expect him to. 5 goals, 4 assists. Let's go over to Lampard then and see what he's doing in year 2. The manager, Frank Lampard, still unemployed. Lampard, I told you these boys would develop, blimey. Lampard already looks like a bit of a star, doesn't he? 31 appearances for him as well. Not as regular in the side, interestingly. 14 starts, 17 assists. The likes of Kovacic, maybe still ahead of him. Kante, of course, another one. 5 goals, 5 assists, 7.01. Better, not spectacular. I wonder if any of these sides have won cup competitions, though. I just want to check. Do you know what we'll do sort of the Premier ones. We'll do FA Cup. We'll see. Oh, Liverpool have won that. Okay, Tottenham won it the previous year. So Gerrard, I don't know if he was a part of the final or if he played in the final, did anything in the final. We'll just check that there. He did start in it, which, you know, he loves a cup final, does Stevie. We'll just check the Champions League while we're here as well. And Real Madrid and Manchester City have won that. City also beaten in the final this year as well. Manchester United, though, got to a semi-final against City. That would have been a big old game, wouldn't it? Okay, let's go to... Oh, no, sorry, what was it? Yeah, Paul Scholes, viewers, sorry. I feel like Sven there, just forgetting about him. Paul Scholes then, 2 goals, 9 assists. And that's what I'm interested to see with Scholes. How will those assists develop over the course of his time as a Manchester United midfielder? From those 23 appearances, started every single game. Did he get injured? Had a dislocated shoulder. We probably would have played a little bit more. But you can see, again, slowly starting to develop. For some reason, he's a little bit younger than the other two. So don't expect it quite as quickly. Ironically enough, of course, he was older than the pair of them in real life. But we'll keep an eye on it and see how he gets on. Right, on to another year. Let's see where he goes. All right, then the final year we're going to look at as we go to Steven Gerrard. The manager, Steven Gerrard, has gone from Rangers to Wolves, interestingly. So, again, maybe getting closer to that Liverpool move. It'll depend on Klopp, I'd imagine. I assume he's still Liverpool manager. We'll just double check that. Yeah, he is. You can see there then, Stevie G is looking like the Steven Gerrard, if you've played Football Manager in the past, we kind of expected, and doing so at 22. 14 caps for England now, so playing a little bit more. 7 goals, 12 assists, putting a real shift now. He's becoming the heartbeat of this side. 31 starts in the league, 50 in all competitions, 11 and 17 in all comps as well. So really impressive numbers from Gerrard at this point. We're a little bit early before. The first 2 seasons sort of went into July. I don't want that. I want to be able to see these league campaigns a little better as... The first thing that stands out, or 2 things. One, Tottenham have won a league title, which means that Liverpool, Chelsea, United still haven't won one. But Paul Scholes, we've been doing it, Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes, not this time. Scholes there, look, really coming on as well. And 21 assists. This is a playmaker, not a goal scorer, but a playmaker, and sort of in keeping with what he was when he played, I think. He was definitely the sort of player that would look for that final ball and be excellent at it as well. That was one thing I always admire about Scholes, that final pass, or not even the final pass, the spectacular pass that he could pull off as well. Incredible. 7.39, really impressive for them. Again, United's season, did it end with anything exciting? They lost the Europa League final to Inter, so not bad, but not quite. Really good end to their Premier League season, actually. Got them into the Champions League on goal difference against Chelsea. And speaking of which then, let's take a look at Frank Lampard, who has now become vice-captain and key player in Allegri's Chelsea. There he is, Frank Lampard, looking pretty impressive. 10 goals, of course, he was the goal scorer of the three of them and has the most league goals to his name, a 7.53. A huge increase on what we saw in the first one. And you can see then, really starting to develop now. Going to be an absolute start. Again, sorry West Ham fans, he didn't start at you. And you would have got this version of Frank Lampard for a brief period. But I wanted to put him at Chelsea, see how he'd get on there against some of the elites of world football early on. They've brought in Fekir, among others. I wonder where Lampard fits in next to Havertz if they're playing this system on the regular. I guess they probably are doing. Let's look at England, because we mentioned it before. They were three players that underachieved for an England side that still has Gareth Southgate in charge. But back then, the likes of Capello and Sven and whoever else came in at that time and just couldn't get the best out of them, right? Let's see. Steve McLaren would be another one. Let's see what they've achieved if we just go to their schedule. World Cup final! Boys! Oh, what would have done for this, viewers? We'd have loved that defeat in the World Cup final. Oh, it's heartbreak as well. Kevin De Bruyne, 93rd minutes. Of course, this was last season, or last summer, I should say. So I'm noticing that Gerrard and Scholes, on the bench, but didn't feature in the game. Oh no, Scholes featured in the final, actually. Lampard as well, Sterling, Sancho. Just imagine though, Foden and Henderson still, by the way, taking the roles of Scholes and Gerrard. They still haven't found a way yet to put them in the same team, it feels like. We'll just take a look at England now. We'll use Sancho's profile as the route to get there. Gerrard, Lampard, Henderson. Oh dear, Man United fans, don't worry. Rashford's in there. Scholes is definitely in the squad. He could play that deeper role as well. I'm sure they could find a way to get him involved, right? Surely they will do. I don't know, weird. As we're here, just again, final thing, check the Champions League. Did anyone win it? No, Madrid winning it. Actually, the final is between Liverpool and Napoli, so Gerrard might win it, actually. Well, shall we go forward? Let's go forward and find out if they win it. 3 days' time, we'll just double check that. The final date changes quite regularly, so usually they've played at this stage, but no, not this time around. All right, we've been through the third. Let's take a look at this then. Have Liverpool done it as Steve McManaman signs a new coaching deal with them? We'll go to their schedule, scrolling down, and they did do it. They beat Napoli. Did Gerrard get a goal in the game? Salah with it. Did Gerrard start? He did. So Gerrard's starting, Salah, Mane and Firmino ahead of him. Bentancur, Fabinho, Dybala's on that bench. It's quite the squad this. Blimey, Charlie. Is Henderson still here? Because Gerrard kind of has taken, ironically, has kind of taken his spot. Is Henderson in the team still? I can't see his name, you know. What's happened to Jordan? Jordan's gone to Inter Milan, which I'm kind of absolutely fine with. £23 million. He's had a pretty good season with them, but that I don't think will happen unless Steven Gerrard comes in. So that's one of the things that has clearly caused this. I'm just interested now, actually, just towards the end of the video. Hopefully you don't mind this going on a little bit longer, viewers. With Paul Scholes, has he done something similar? Has anyone left to make room? Scott McTominay has gone to Atletico Madrid. I wonder again if that is a byproduct of these players coming in. Van der Beek's gone as well. So two of the players that are brought in to play Scholes-ish roles, Fred went as well. So yeah, all these midfielders have been moved on. Of course, United have been bringing players in at the same time. Make no mistake, they're still trying to improve the team. It's now made me wonder if Lampard being here has forced Chelsea to make any moves as well. So we'll just check that. We'll go to the players with the most expense. Centrally, Ruben Loftus-Cheek's left. Nothing too crazy there, though. The year before that, did anybody leave to make room? Ross Barkley left, but that's not really that much of a surprise. And a few of the other central midfielders, like Van Ginkel, have finally been moved on. Again, no other real central midfielders have been moved on by Chelsea. Interesting league season, that, though. Like, you see the likes of Liverpool being in third, United, Chelsea, all very stacked together. Who will be the first, though, to win a Premier League title? The only way to find out, part 2 of this video. Hopefully they'll have won by then. You'd expect so, right, with their quality. Scholes coming into his own, 21 assists. You do love that. That brings us in then to this part of the experiment. Again, stay subscribed make sure I'll see you for the next one. And yeah, if you enjoyed this, do drop a like on it. Really enjoying doing the experiments, something I've not really done before, and I'm doing a lot more of this season. So yeah, hopefully you're looking forward to a few more of these. If you've got any suggestions, get in the comment section down below. We'll have with Care then. From me, it's Benji. Until next time, I'll see you again very, very soon. This is Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes in their youth, and I'll see you again. Goodbye.